There is a lot of talk about mindset and how it's connected to success. In fact, in the last 10 years, there have been more publications put out around the neuroscience of success than in the previous history of mankind. And after being around so many 8-figure brands, our 8-figure docs who are building success, this is one of the biggest topics that they focus on. And so in today's video, I'm going to share with you 4 indicators that if you have, your neuroscience is set up for success. The first indicator has everything to do with what we measure. And I want you to think about a line. It only has 2 points and 1 metric. And that metric is how long is that line? It doesn't provide any depth. It doesn't really give us a whole lot of indication about the line. It's pretty flat and, quite frankly, pretty boring. I don't want you to measure your success off of 1 metric, how much money you make. We got to go deeper than that to understand your business. And so if we start measuring 2 metrics, 2 lines, we now end up with a square. That square now has some capacity. It's flat, but we are able to measure a space, and within that space there's good work that we can do. And that's like a practice that is now starting to add some team members. There's starting to be some moving parts in that practice, but there's still no depth to that practice. There's no real focus on where we're going within that practice, and so that leads us to a 3-dimensional metric system, 3 lines. These 3 metrics that we measure now fall onto the x-axis, the y-axis, and the z-axis. You remember this going back to physics. I know you remember this for that equation. So in understanding this 3-dimensional, when we start layering in, we have a cube. A cube gives us a container. A container is reflective of our capacity. And you as a business owner, the CEO of your practice, is the driving force behind how big is the capacity of this practice going to be. Now, the beautiful thing about a container is you begin to measure the metrics and define its lines. You can define how big this container is, what's going to expand it, what's going to grow it. So before I share that, I want you to click like and subscribe to this channel, guys, because this is the transformational channel that's going to help you grow the practice of your dreams while actually working less and making more. So subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single great episode of the Data-Driven Practice. So step number 2 is really understanding these high performers, the neuroscience behind high performers. What they found is that a lot of these high performers, they still dealt with the same things you and I deal with, like feeling inadequate, wondering if I can get the patient transformation, feeling overwhelmed, and even sometimes burnt out. But the difference behind these is their ability to communicate. So they start measuring their container, the practice, and they start communicating to their team where that practice is going, how big the container is going to become. And that art of communication is what we call casting the vision. As a leader, these 8-figure organizational heads were amazing at casting their vision, being able to clearly define in a way that their team could visualize exactly what the leader was seeing in their mind. Taking a mental image into a physical realm was a neuroscience ability that was a gift of these leaders, that as we practice, we work with our team to cast our vision, to share with them where the container is growing. What are we measuring that is allowing us to grow the capacity of that container? When is it time to hire that next team member to grow the capacity of the organization? This is the communication. The team wants to know, what do they need to do to help us get to the next level? That communication skill, that art of communication, was a massive piece of their neuroscience that allowed these high performers to build these 8-figure brands. The third indicator of success was the neuroscience of reward. Remember Pavlov's dogs? Remember that when the bell rings, man, the dog salivated. Well, how did we condition that response? And that was neuroscience. That was tapping into the amygdala in the autonomic nervous system. Well, we recognize that power of that neuroscience and use it with our team as we build a proper bonus system. These high performers in building 8-figure brands looked at every team member in the practice and what they were contributing to the practice in processing patients and delivering services and helping to promote supplements and growing the practice with referrals. And they found ways to gamify those opportunities by rewarding the team with a proper bonus system. As we implement that bonus system, it should incentivize a certain behavior to help grow the practice. The beautiful thing about the neuroscience is that reward is something that stimulates the dopamine and the excitement of the team member. When they see that extra bonus in their paycheck or they get handed that bonus, they feel that connection to the practice, like, I did this, I helped grow this business. And so that is a powerful indicator of success that these 8-figure brands had implemented throughout their entire organization. Now, if you want help building your bonus system, I got you. We actually built a guide to help you understand the best ways to implement gamification into your practice and reward your team. Just comment below bonus system and we will make sure you get that free guide. And for faster delivery, just DM me at .Cory and we'll make sure you get that guide in your inbox. All right, guys, the fourth and final indicator that will correlate with your success was that these high-performing 8-figure doctors were able to build this brand because they had proper measuring systems in place. This is a data-driven dashboard. Every single one of them, whether they built it themselves or adopted the Blue IQ system, had their data. This is important because it was an indicator of how fast they could course correct the organization. Now think about this for a second. If it's you and one team member, that's pretty easy to pivot. We call that a nimble organization. Small and nimble, there's benefits to that. But if you're gonna grow an 8-figure brand, that means that we're going to have a large team, multiple locations, multiple providers, multiple systems operating with a lot of moving parts, and to move that is a lot more difficult. That's not a nimble organization. And so it became more and more important that the operators, the leadership, the admin team could have foresight. They could predict. There were predictable measures of what we call making decisions by lead measures, not lag measures. It's too late in a quarter to determine profitability at the end of the quarter. We got to come upstream. We have to implement. We have to predict. We have to course correct any areas of the organization that aren't on track. Now, that might sound like overkill for a small organization, but it is the foundational system you need to put in place. And so I went to work building a simple way to do this. And this simple system of Blue IQ automates the process and simplifies it for you so that you can have the same tools these massive organizations have, but you get to have it at your fingertips for a fraction of the cost. This is the power of becoming a data-driven doc. This is where you take your first steps from being a small organization to scaling and growing your dream practice, whatever size you want that to be. So I invite you to come be around the data-driven docs. We have a 5-day challenge where I teach you and share with you personally the steps you need to take to become data-driven, to have these 4 indicators manifest in your life. It's called the Turn Your Data into Dollars Challenge, and it starts soon. So click the link below. Come join me. Come join other data-driven docs who are passionate about building their dream practices. I can't wait to see you in the challenge.